What's up, YouTube? It's Hello Scott, and yes, we'll be getting into the 2-decade-long, or maybe an even longer debate. Who's better, LeBron or Michael Jordan?
That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
Now, I will tell you guys this right now. My camera will be moving a lot. It could be, right here, could be right here, could be right here. Now, it's going to have to move around a lot because like a lot of the slides, if I don't move it, it'll be in a way of something that you have to read. So kind of have to move it like that. So just so you guys know, it will be moving a lot. But let's go ahead and get to the most popular part of the debate. The thing that said every time you bring up Michael Jordan, and you probably already know what I'm getting at.
That's why he's the MVP.
Oh, that one's supposed to play twice. So he's 6-0. But let me tell you why that could be used against him. As for example, Kareem. He has 6 rings. Why is he not in the GOAT argument anymore? Very strange. Very strange. Robert Horry, 7-0. That's a better finals record than Michael Jordan. Why is he not in the GOAT argument? And now John Havlicek, 8-0. See what I did there, guys? 6, 7, 8. He's 8-0. The only thing he does not have better than Michael Jordan on these posted stats are points. And we know Michael Jordan was a ball hog. Of course, he's supposed to have more points. So why is Michael Jordan all of a sudden just better than those two guys when they clearly have better records? Now, enough of me playing devil's advocate. We all know for a fact Jordan is better than both of them. Well, let's say Kareem and Jordan are better than both of them. But see, the thing with that is, how can we objectively know Michael Jordan is better than both of them when they both have perfect finals records? I already know the argument for John Havlicek. Oh, he played when they had 8 teams, they had 10 teams. Fine. What about Robert Horry? Oh, he was a role player. He got carried. But the thing about that is, at least Robert Horry, most of his championships came from him playing in the league where the teams were already established and the expansions had already been fully integrated and could actually have some kind of competitive edge, right? That's where most of his championships came from. The same can't be said for Michael Jordan. So using that logic, it's not fair to use the perfect finals record over LeBron because it's clear cut right here. Two people have a better record than Michael Jordan, but they're objectively not better than him. So how can you say that about LeBron if we see right here in front of our faces the two dudes with 6 rings are better than the dudes in the middle? So therefore, that argument really can't be used because all you gotta do is bring up these two guys, and it kind of starts to be a contradiction in a way. But speaking of Kareem, why did he just vanish from the GOAT debate? Like, I'm very curious about that.
Jordan has 10 scoring titles and Kareem only has 2 finals MVPs. So therefore, he's better than Kareem, and that's why he's the GOAT.
So, for starters, obviously both Hall of Famers. Kareem has more All-Stars. Oh, he had longevity. How is that his fault? He can play for a long time. Obviously, Michael had more scoring champs. Took a beat with his steal champs. He had a block champ. Kareem had rebounding champ. I mean, you guys see all of it. He has very good accolades. Why was he just cut from the GOAT debate? I already know the next thing. Well, Michael Jordan has 10 scoring championships, and Kareem only has 2 finals MVPs. I'm so very glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. I probably got to move my thing again. Let me see. Is it in the way? Let's try right here. Oops, my bad, guys. So that's okay. My bad. I'm just getting used to this. So yeah, I know you guys see this title. I might look into that later. But since you already started whining about scoring titles for Michael Jordan and Kareem only won 2 finals MVPs, let's kind of look at the league when Michael Jordan was winning. So let's go ahead and go to this video.
But what about about the overall quality of the NBA in the mid-90s? But what about the overall quality of the NBA in the mid-90s? But what about the overall...
Now, I will admit to you guys, this video can get very annoying because I really appreciate the dude who created the video, but it can get very annoying because he looped what the people were saying in the conversations about Michael Jordan and his team, so he could really get the point across of what you're about to see in this video. So I will have to skip over it because 70-80 the whole video is looped, right? The whole video is looped, so I'm gonna have to skip over some things, but I just want you to know. I just want you to know.
overall quality of the NBA
Really
in the
listen.
mid-90s? But what about the overall quality of the NBA in the mid-90s? How do you think it stacks up to a decade or so ago?
Well, I think the expansion teams has really hurt the league. I think it's depleted some of the talent in our league.
A glimpse of the future, what the NBA is going to be like in the 21st century. It's going to be an international league, and they have 2 of the 3 best American players on their team, from preview of what it's going to be like in the 21st century.
You had Larry and Magic to test yourselves against. There's nothing comparable to that quality of competition at the top for these Chicago Bulls. You had Larry and Magic to test yourselves against. There's nothing comparable to that quality of competition at the top for these Chicago Bulls. There's nothing comparable to that quality of competition at the top for these Chicago Bulls. Now, it seems a little awkward to talk
Really
about
want y'all to
the Bulls as
understand.
one
He
of the
keep
best teams of
repeating
all
it.
time. Now, it seems a little awkward to talk about the Bulls as one of the best teams of all time. It seems...
Okay, all right. Now I'm starting to get annoyed.
With Moses, which had the all-time best record, and probably will maintain it if the Sonics can hold on today, could have beaten any of these teams. The present-day Bulls could have beaten any of these teams. The present-day Bulls could have beaten any present-day Bulls.
Oh, we know he probably hates Jordan because he probably took him out the GOAT debate.
Johnson and Danny Ainge in the backcourt.
That's true. I think that's the reason that that we might do some good against them, because we did have the height advantage, and our front line was so unbelievable with Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish and Dennis Johnson in the background and Danny Ainge.
It is true. We'll talk about that later, though, because I want to be fair to
Take a
Jordan.
break here, Magic. Your team of the mid-'80s, with you in the backcourt, with Kareem up front, with James Worthy, with Byron Scott, with Michael Cooper for defense. Again, I think interesting matchups, and by no means assured that the Bulls would beat that team.
Well, Kareem is the X factor because there's nobody that could stop him on their team. Then he would set up shots for everybody else. I think Larry made a good point about his Celtic team, the same thing. The only it would have been probably a great finals or a great series, but at the end, I think Kareem would have ended up winning it for us, maybe in a game 6 or 7. But at the end, I think Kareem would have ended up winning it for us, maybe in a game 6 or 7. But at the end.
Okay, man, if you repeat it twice, I get it, but 3 times, but I still like the video, still get it subscribed. But let's get back to the main point. So, where was I? Yeah, you just tried to water down Kareem's career in rings. Most of Michael Jordan's accomplishments was, hate to say it, in a watered down league. So, do with that information what you will. Now, let's kind of get back to the scoring titles, because you probably think Michael Jordan is probably the greatest scorer of all time. That's not a bad opinion. But I would argue he's probably second, and that's behind Wilt Chamberlain. Now, as you can see on the screen, these are the worst ball hogs in NBA history. Elgin Baylor. I didn't think. Let's not talk about him too much. Let's just talk about Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain. So, let's see. Michael Jordan took, let's just be generous. Let's say he took a 3.5 a game, and he made a 3 every other game. And I know you guys see this thing, switches forward. Okay. So you can say his lucky shots or whatever. He has the ability to do it in my eyes. So if he's doing that, and Jordan probably could hit 4 in a row straight up, let's just be generous. Let's give him the same. Let's give him an attempt and a half because he didn't have a 3-point line when he played. Let's give him an attempt and a half. Let's just say he made a 3 a game, just 1 3 a game or whatever. Actually, you could put it however you want, regardless of what I'm about to say. I feel like if there was a 3-point line in Wilt's era, because he makes most of his shots, unlike literally the top 4 ball hogs in NBA history, because he makes most of his shots, I do believe that if the 3-point line was incorporated in his era, he could have scored from maybe 33 to 35 points a game, potentially. Because he's already hitting 54% of his shots. I guess you could argue, oh, that might not transfer to the 3-point line or whatever, but at the same time, he's more efficient than Mike. And they have the same points per game. Technically, I think he has 1.8 and he has just I don't know. But as a ball hog, you better be scoring 30 a game. If you're taking 23, 24 shots a game, you better be doing that. So that's how I kind of feel about the scoring title thing, because Wilt had 7. If he had a 3-point line, he might have had 15 titles or however many seasons he played. So that's honestly how I feel about that. You could feel all you want to about that. I feel like there's a good argument for Wilt Chamberlain being the greatest scorer of all time. I feel like there really is. Now, I know some of y'all think, oh man, Jordan will average 40, 45, 50 points in today's game. Okay. All right. Keep that for right now. So, Embiid last season, he averaged 34.7, but okay, he only played 30-some games. You could count that or not. If you don't want to count it, just pretend that says 33, because that's what he did in 2023 last season. Kevin Durant's highest point per game season is 32. Now, DeMar DeRozan, you could say 28 if you want to, fine. And John Morant, 27.5 a game. Now, if we can agree these are some of the best scorers in NBA history, and they can't score 40 and 50 points a game, and they're 7 feet tall, and nobody could really guard them, how in the fuck will Michael Jordan score 45, 50 points a game if the 2 7-footers can barely scrape 35 or can't get to 30? Well, okay, let's just say they can't get to 40. If the 2 unguardable 7-footers can't get to 40 points a game, how will Michael Jordan score 50 a game? That makes no sense. I think the average player is around Michael Jordan's build, at least in height and weight, and they're not scoring 35 a game. So how will he score 40? And fun fact, right? Because we could probably, most of us would probably agree. Okay, offensively, Michael Jordan would probably play like the Gogeta version of them. If you don't understand what that means, if they did fusion, this would probably be how Jordan would play. He'd probably play like a good hybrid of DeMar DeRozan and John Morant. Now, fun fact, if y'all didn't notice that by now, I'm going to tell y'all something. So, the guys on the screen, their best scoring seasons being 30 points plus per game, have a career field goal percentage of over 50%, which means they make most of their shots. But the guys who share similar talents and skills to Jordan have a sub 50% field goal for their career, just like Jordan. How strange is that? How strange is the guys that play like Jordan in a way have, less than 50% field goal percentage, but the guys that play less like him actually have the ability to maybe score 35 a season. How strange is that? So based off what I said right here, do I think Jordan could score 20 points a game? Fuck no, he'll get clamped. I'm being so sick. No, I'm just playing. He could score 20 a game. Cool. 25, that's a given. 30, maybe. I might give him 30. Because the way I'm looking at it is, if these guys are barely scraping 28 and can't get to 28, and they kind of play like Jordan, how could I expect him to get too far past 28? Right? It makes sense. But for benefit of the doubt, okay, he's the greatest shooting guard he's arguably the greatest shooting guard of all time. Give him 30. 35 is a stretch. 35 is a stretch. I guess if he ball hogged every game and had the ball 110% of the game and never passed and shot 100 shots, because you got to think about it. He's the second worst ball hog in NBA history. If you shoot 100 shots, you're going to make 20. That's 40 points. Of course he's going to score that much. If he's taking 22, 23 shots a game. I think he took 40 shots in one game before. I think he did that. So if he's doing stuff like that, of course he's going to score 30 plus points a season. That's not a good team player though, which would explain a little bit about okay, I'll get to that when I get to that. But can he score 30 if he's the worst ball hog in history? Well, if he's the worst ball hog in history, he could score 35. 40 is not happening. So you could take 45 and 50 out of the conversation. Based off what I said right here, I don't think he'll really go too far past 30, let alone 35. Don't talk about 40. I think that's damn near stupid if you think he can score like that high. Now, your next rebuttal is, okay, maybe he can't score 40, 45, 50 points a game, but he's a better scorer than LeBron. Okay, let's start talking about LeBron, right? Because I'm sure you probably said that 40K stat is useless. You can ignore that YouTube short because you'll see why. So, only player in NBA history to have 40K points, along with 10K rebounds, along with 10K assists. He's getting points is not his. He's a pass first. So if a pass first gets 40K points, what does that say? What does that say about Kobe and Jordan? Oh well, if they played 20 years, well they didn't have the longevity. What do you want me to tell you? No, go to this. The only player in NBA history to be first in every statistic leading the playoffs on both sides. Is he still? Do you still think he's garbage? I would say that's impossible. I don't think anybody will ever do that again. That's got to be like almost impossible, if not impossible. That's like unbelievable. I think he did it like 2 or 3 times. But now let's go to this. He was the youngest player in NBA history to reach basically every point, every thousandth point. He's the youngest to reach 40K because he's the first to do it. You can call 40K useless stat if you really want to. That's stupid. But I mean, now I already know your next argument. Man, if Jordan was 18, he could have scored 40K points too. He probably would have scored 50. But the thing is, why didn't he just go one and done, right? And got in the league at 19. Why didn't he do that? Why couldn't he go one and done like LeBron and get in the league? If he was so good, why couldn't he do that? Maybe he wasn't that good in college. Or maybe he wasn't NBA ready. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt. The most positive thing I could say about this is he was probably scared of where he'll fall in the 1982 NBA draft. Now, the NBA, I'm pretty sure that draft was stacked. They had James Worthy and Dominique Wilkins. I don't know the placements, but I think one of those 2 guys was drafted 3rd, and MJ was drafted 3rd. So his career would have been entirely different. So it's very hard to say where he would have landed. There's a good chance he wouldn't have went to the Bulls. So it's kind of hard to say, okay, if he went in at 19, this and this would happen, when he probably wouldn't have been on the same team and he probably wouldn't have got drafted 3rd. So it's very, very hard to say. But what I will say is I still don't think he would have scored 40K even if he came in at 19. Now, do the math. Let's say he came in at 19, right? That's 3 extra years on his resume. Take 30.1 times 82, right? And then times that by 3. And then add that to his total career points. It's like 32,000 or something. I bet you it won't be 40K. Do it right now. I'll wait. 32. No, my bad. 30.1, because that's his career average, times 82 times 3. And then add that number to 32,000 and whatever his career points is. I guarantee you it won't say 40. I promise you, because I did the math already. I would have did it in front of your face, but it's gonna mess up the it's gonna mess up the slide. And speaking of mess up the slide, I probably should have moved my camera around a lot more, but it's probably fine. Now, well, LaFlop left the Cavs and he can't win without a super team, but he had more help. Cool. So now you want to bring up the fact that he left and that's the only way he could win, but Michael Jordan stayed on his team. I'm glad you said that. Let's go ahead and get to this. I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Recall your last conversation with him?
We were debating, me and him. We were debating about me playing baseball. Yeah, Dad, I want to go play baseball. I'm thinking about retiring. I want to go play baseball. And all the things that he was saying, do it. Because he got me started in baseball.
It was something that my father and I talked about way before he passed. Me retiring from basketball and then playing baseball. And the final year that we won the championship was like his biggest push to go and do it. No one could present a challenge to me at the time.
Y'all want him to win? Y'all changed all the rules so he can win.
Do you recall?
Okay, so let me ask you guys a question. What's worse? Completely just quitting and leaving basketball, going to play another sport. Now, you can't use the guilt tripping thing because before the thing even happened with his father, that was a conversation. That was already been a conversation. So you can't use that. He just said it himself in front of your face. So he quit basketball and came back. How is that worse than going to another team? Because at least in the end, LeBron came back. At least he came back in the end. But I guess that don't matter for some reason. Let's go to this too as well.
He gets kicked out for some shit. And I'm livid because he get kicked out of the game. He leaves me out there by myself because Scotty's not playing. Dennis knew he fucked up. He knew.
Ooh, I actually played this too early. Let's go back. But actually, y'all
screwed up. I hear there's someone knocking on my door, the hotel. Now, Dennis never comes in my room. And he comes and says, man, you got an extra cigar. He didn't say apology. He didn't say anything. But by him coming to my room, it was his way of saying, look, man, I fucked up. And from that point on, Dennis was straight as an arrow. And he gets kicked out for some shit.
So if he's the greatest of all time, right? Why does he need Dennis Rodman? Why does he need him so bad? Can't he just go score those 40, 50 points a game y'all was talking about? No. In the second episode, he literally, like y'all just seen a short, he admitted he was on a losing streak. They were going under .500 without Scott and Rodman. And as you can see, and he was flaky. He said after that point, Rodman was straight as an arrow. So before that point, what was Rodman doing? Being flaky. And the funny thing about that is, in that same situation, James Harden, what was that, 2017, 18, 19, I don't remember, whichever one. Prime James Harden carried role players to a 50-plus win team without his co-star. So if, why can the best shooting guard of all time do it? But someone who may or may not be in the top 5 of shooting guards all the time, depending on your opinion, or whether you think T-Mac is in there or not or whatever. Why can he do it, but Jordan can't? I don't know. That's weird that he can do something, but the GOAT can't. And also something else to say. If you're like still slandering LeBron, while he's damn near 40, but you make excuses for Jordan, you're a hypocrite. You really are. I just want you to know that and realize that you're a hypocrite. And hopefully you know what that means. If you don't, yeah, you need to start getting some books and doing some research. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What do all these guys have in common? I'll give you a little bit of time to think about it. I'll give you a little bit of time. Okay, you had a little bit of time. So, for those of you okay, be honest. Do you know 10 of these people? Somebody might know 5, somebody might know 7. I would argue there is no way somebody knows 15 people, and 20 is out the question. But these guys were all NBA All-Stars. Now, why is this relevant? This is why it's relevant. Because what is it? Skip Bayless and a lot of people, or mostly old heads, make the argument LeBron played with more All-Stars. Now, all of those guys were All-Stars, right? Most of y'all probably didn't even know 3 of them or 5 of them. So, I feel like that argument is no better than the rings argument. And to prove my point even further, imagine how many people just got rings just sitting on Golden State bench. Imagine how many people got rings doing that. So, I mean, I guess, I guess that's supposed to be in the GOAT debate too. If some dude got 3 rings sitting on Golden State bench, I guess he's just better than Kyrie now. Sounds stupid, right? And a better argument, replace all stars with all NBA teammates or Hall of Famer teammates per team, because the All-Star game is a popularity contest. If me and you who aren't in the NBA can vote on an All-Star, that already dilutes it. Because people already hate Bron, so they're not going to vote for him. But he's so popular that people that actually like him overshadow the voting on the people that don't. Now, another point, I'm pretty sure Anthony Bennett, I think he was the #1 pick for the Cavs, the biggest bust in NBA history. If I convince 1 million people to go vote for him, is he automatically a superstar now? No. So if you said no to that, then that means you agree the All-Star thing is really just a popularity contest, because it's less exclusive. All you had to do is be voted in and you're an All-Star. You just need enough votes. But only 15 people could get into all the NBA per year, and the Hall of Fame is even more exclusive than that, probably. So do with that information what you will. Now, a lot of people along the way may have thought, well, LeBron didn't get to the playoffs the first 2 years of his career, but Michael Jordan went to the playoffs every single time.
I think technically Michael Jordan didn't make the playoffs on the Wizards, so you're wrong.
Okay, cool. We'll review that right now. So let's go ahead and review that. I'm glad you mentioned that. We'll be looking at LeBron and Jordan's early career success, or early career at the same time. So let me just line it up real fast. My bad, guys. We'll go to Jordan, then LeBron. Jordan, then LeBron. LeBron James first. A 1 second difference. Let's see. Probably should have had this set up already. Okay, so they say he missed the playoffs with 35 wins. Let's put Mike right here. Oh, okay. Not bad. Oh, 49. God damn, that boy. Okay, he was cold. Okay, so Michael Jordan, he finished the season with 38 and 44, losing record. LeBron finished with 35. What would that be? 35 and 47? Think that's right? I don't know. Yeah, should be that. How can they both have losing records, but one guy gets in and the other guy doesn't? Man, the East must have been so strong back in the day that you could have a losing record and still touch the playoffs. The East must have been incredible. Let's did not mean to do that. Let's go back and what happened in the next season? We got to see that. Oh, he was injured. Okay, so he was injured, and they did worse than they did last season, and made the playoffs when MJ sidelined. Now let me tell y'all something. Let me give MJ an asterisk real fast. Do you know who made that shot for them to even qualify for the playoffs? Because if they went 29 and 53, they weren't getting in. You know who made that shot? It was John Paxson. I think that's him. I think this is him right here. It was John Paxson. If he misses that shot, the argument for Jordan made the playoffs every year of his career is gone. So that's an asterisk right there. Since you guys like to do the asterisk for LeBron, because Ray Allen made that shot in the corner that one time, even though LeBron scored 16 points right before that. So that's his asterisk right there for the playoffs, since you guys want to do that. Now let's go to LeBron's second season. Second season. Finished ninth with 42 and 40 and still didn't make the playoffs. So now he has a slightly positive record and he still didn't make it. While Michael Jordan had 30 and 52 and still made it. Man, the East was so strong back then, I probably would have cried. Man, the East was so strong back in that time. Okay, cool. Now, this right here, I'm going to admit, Michael Jordan had the best first round exit of all. Now I'm just playing. He had the best, probably first round ever in NBA history with that 63 points game. There probably won't be another one. I'm gonna give him that. There probably will never be another. That probably won't ever happen again. So I'm gonna give him that. That was in 1986. Okay, that was cold. Let's go to both of their third seasons. Youngest, you already saw the youngest stuff. I won't mention that. Second MVP podium. Okay, and they finished the season 50 and 32. What happened in Jordan's third season? 3,000 points in the season? God damn. Can you pass? I'm not gonna lie. I think that's pretty good. Almost 3 steals. Okay, that's some pretty good stats. Can't even lie. That's up there. Finished with a negative record. He was almost a .500. He almost was. Finished with a negative record. Still got to the playoffs. If LeBron would have went 40 and 42, he probably wouldn't have made the playoffs. But the East was so strong back then. It's just, man, the East was so strong. But they got swept again by the Celtics. Another question. How come Michael Jordan gets praised for getting swept by the Hall of Fame Celtics? But when in 2018, LeBron lost to Golden State, he's the worst player of all time. The Golden State was better and he lost. LeBron would have had a better time going against this team. Maybe he could have pushed it to 7. Michael Jordan would not have. He would have got swept by Golden State too. I argue LeBron would maybe push this series to 6 or 7. Would he have won? I'm not going to say that, but he would have had a way better chance than going against the greatest shooter of all time, the greatest scorer of all time, the second greatest shooter of all time, in a DPOY with who in a DPOY who could play point forward. Interesting. Okay, cool. So LeBron finally got to the playoffs. He finished his third season getting swept. What happened to LeBron in the playoffs? His first triple double. His playoff. Okay. Made a game winning shot versus the Wizards. Now, if these is the Wizards I think they are with Gilbert Arenas, y'all can't say this team is weak. I think they had 3 or 4 20-point game scorers on their team. That was a good team. Another game winner. They went, okay, they beat him in 6. If you watch Gil's Arena, I think it was a couple times he explained just LeBron James IQ and all that stuff. I don't know what episode specifically, but he was literally talking. He was literally talking about what was happening during this. Okay, they were down. Okay, I think they lost. If I'm being okay. They lost in 7. Okay, cool. So this should be his 4th season. I'm sure it should be his 4th season. What happened to his next season? Okay, slam dunk. God damn, 40 points in the All-Star game. Shit. And he went over 70%. Almost 60 on the Pistons. Is this the playoffs? No. DPOY. Uh, hey, if you know, you know. Just look on YouTube, search up, and you'll probably find it. But there has been said to have an asterisk by that. I think it was 1 because Hakeem should have won it, and then 2 because they talk about stat inflation. So they may or may not have an asterisk. So do with the information what you will. It took him 4. What is this? The 4th season? It took him 4 seasons to finally finish with a positive record, but it only took LeBron 1 season. Actually, yeah, I think he only went negative 1 season. Look, if I'm wrong. Correct me. But hey, they finished with the same record. So pretty sure it's still lined up. So yeah, let's uh let's see what he did in the playoffs. 50 in game 1. Okay, he beat the Cavs. Okay, the Bad Boys. Okay, so okay, this season he lost to the Jordan rules. Okay, that's not really fair. Let's be honest. The Jordan rules led the league in scoring again. Hold on, wait. Okay, whatever. Fine. Let's go to LeBron. So they swept. What is that? Is that the Magic? I can't see. Yeah, it probably was the Magic. And then they went against New Jersey. He beat them. They were 0-2 against the Pistons. I think this is where, yep, 29 of the last 30 points. What was it? I think he scored 25 straight. LeBron's trash, though. He scored 25 straight. You know, brought his team back double overtime. He trash. He's trash. Historic performance? No, he's trash. Now, keep in mind, this team that he beat the previous season beat Kobe and Shaq on the Lakers, but LeBron beat them. Let that sink in. This same team that you see right now beat the Kobe and Shaq Lakers, but LeBron just beat them with the 48 special. Do with that information what you will. And they went to the finals. Now let's go back here. Okay, they faced the Cavs first round. Hit the buzzer beater. Oh, that's the famous. Okay. So he advanced through the playoffs. Defeated the Knicks. I think that's Patrick Ewing. I don't know. The Bad Boys. See how he did against them. Because them Jordan rules. I'm not gonna lie. He should have been kicked out the game. He really should have. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, 46. Okay, 32. Okay. So apparently he got eliminated by the Pistons. Let's see what LeBron did in the finals. Okay. So of course he got swept in the finals. How old was he when he was in the finals? 22. Okay, so when he was 22, he got to the finals, but when Michael Jordan was 22, he couldn't get out the first round. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Second All-Star, youngest to score 10,000. We already went over that. Cavs all-time leading scorer. First scoring championship. And he's the 4th seed in this season. Okay. So what about okay? So in this season, he finally got Phil and Scotty. Okay, that's a nice picture. That's kind of funny. Okay, cool. Damn, 60. God damn. Why ain't show his field goal percent? No, I'm just playing. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. This is incredible. That's incredible. I can't lie. Go back to LeBron. Beat the Wizards again. I think this the super team Celtics in '08. I'm not gonna lie. If LeBron would have beat him, if LeBron would have beat them, you know what? I ain't even gonna say that. Okay, he lost to the super team Celtics. That's still a stain on his record. Okay. Beat the 5 points against the Bucks. Considered for DPOY. And led the Cavs to a 66-16 record. So he led them to the first seed. Okay, what did Jordan do? Scoring leader. Okay, 30. Okay, 55, and faced the Bucks in the first round. I don't know what seed this is, but it's probably like 3 or something. Probably 3-2. I don't think it was 1 because he probably would have put it if it was 1. They defeated. They swept the Bucks. Then they faced the Sixers. They gentlemen swept the Sixers. Then they faced the Bulls again. And then they used Jordan flagrant foul rules. Back to back 40 times. And that's kind of like Bron. God damn. And they eliminated them again. Let's see what happened to LeBron. Okay, he swept the Pistons. He won the MVP. Swept the Hawks. But eventually ended up losing to Orlando. He's arguably one of the greatest defenders of all time. So I'm not surprised by that. But he still lost. That would have been nice to see though. But, taking away LeBron's driving ability by one of the best blockers ever. Okay, he ain't shake hands. So he led them to the first seed again. They beat the Bulls. They gentlemen swept the Bulls. Back-to-back MVP. Beat the Celtics. And they eventually ended up losing in Game 6 to the Celtics. And Skip Bayless won't leave them alone. So, I'm assuming by now you guys have noticed something, right? So, let's talk about it. Notice how LeBron's, in his career, and early in his career, where was his second option? The most popular second option I can remember is a Gauskas. And I don't even remember what year he was on the team. It's very hard to think about a second person with LeBron from since he was drafted to right before he left for the Heat. That's how I feel about it. Man, but I'm not gonna read that. You can read that if you want to. I'll read the second part. But when Jordan got help from Phil, Scotty, and Robin, he was praised greatest of all time, 6-0. The funny thing about that 6-0 thing is, in the Last Dance, Jordan said he went 6-8 because he counted those 2 years. So 6 championships in 8 years. That's how he said it. So do with the information what you will. Now, as y'all saw, let's talk about the '08 Celtics. No one said nothing when Kevin Garnett went to the Celtics. It was just like, you know what, man? You've been carrying that team the whole time. You deserve to win the ring. Go to the Celtics with Paul Pierce, Rondo. I think Ray Allen was on that team too. And nobody said nothing. It was just globally accepted. But when LeBron wanted help from two people, now he's getting death threats. That's crazy, right? And then he says, you know what? I won 2 rings. Let me go back home. Try 2015. Kyrie and Kevin Love got injured. LeBron pushed them to game 6 by himself in that finals. So imagine what would have happened if Kyrie and Kevin Love were there. Just think about that. 3-1. They came back 3-1 in 2016. I know you can make the Draymond argument, but he was only suspended for 1 game. Golden State still had 2 games to beat them because he came back. So what's the argument after that? And then 2017, I think Kevin started declining. Kevin Love started declining at that point, and then KD was on the team. So now LeBron and his team has to go up against greatest shooter in the world, second best shooter in the world, the best scorer in the world, and a DPOY who can play point forward. And since he didn't three-peat, now he's not top 10 all time. And that's asterisk by his rings. How is that fair? Now, using that logic, I could just say, oh, well, if Jordan was really the GOAT, he would have built the Celtics in the first round and would have won the championship. So he's not the GOAT, so now he's not top 10 all time because he didn't beat them. But since, LeBron's asterisks are so out there, let's start talking about Jordan's asterisks. Now, this is going to be a video using your logic on why LeBron is the GOAT. This logic is going to be flipped, and it's basically, you're going to see why Jordan is the GOAT. Let's go straight to it.
The 1991 champions were the Chicago Bulls, as they gentlemen swept the Lakers in the finals. One noteworthy footnote we have to add, though, is James Worthy, the leading scorer for the Lakers all season, got injured in the Western Conference Finals and was playing with a severely compromised ankle, which only got worse as he re-aggravated it in the fourth quarter of Game 1. The Lakers were able to steal that game.
So, the second best scorer on the Lakers, right? Like, I think Kareem was the best scorer. So the second option on the team got injured. Interesting. Okay.
But it was clear that their top scorer was not the same.
Oh, he was the best. Oh, never mind. He was the best.
The Bulls
I guess Kareem was second.
Next 4 games en route to
Or
the
retired.
championship.
One of them two.
The 1992 winners were, as we all know, also the Chicago Bulls, who beat the Portland Trail Blazers in 6 games. One big if, however, is, would Portland have won if Arvydas Sabonis was able to play in the NBA that year? You see, a player by the name of Arvydas Sabonis, who was arguably the best basketball player not named Michael Jordan at the time, was drafted in 1986 by the Trailblazers, but because of politics, wasn't allowed to play in the NBA until almost 10 years later in 1995. He was in his physical prime in 1992 and was the best European player alive. I mean, look at this clip here of him posterizing David Robinson. In addition, he also just happened to be a 7'3" giant, and the Bulls' weakness that year was the center position. Anyway, the Bulls won it again in 19.
I would say, really. So what was it? It was just Clyde. It was just Clyde versus the Bulls. Oh, that's fair. That's competition. That's fair.
1993, but this time against Sir Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns. This one isn't really an asterisk, but it's more of a what if. You see, the Bulls were down 2 with 5 seconds left in Game 6, but then John Paxson hit a 3-point game-winning shot and sealed the deal. But had he missed that shot, both teams would have headed back to Phoenix for a Game 7, where the Suns would have had all the momentum. So,
Well, why didn't Jordan just hit the shot? Isn't he the GOAT? Why didn't he take the buzzer beater? If Jordan was the GOAT, why didn't he take the buzzer beater? Isn't that what? Ain't he supposed to be a clutch killer? Ain't he supposed to be a killer? Oh, okay.
the big question here is, what did Paxson miss every night?
I'm not gonna say what if he missed or whatever. I'm just gonna say, well, why didn't Jordan take that shot? If he was really the GOAT, he would have took that shot. So that's how I feel about it.
Played baseball, then was rusty in his first year back. The 1996 champions were the Bulls again, and this was the year they went 72-10.
Well, actually, let me ask you a question. If he was actually, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Oh wait.
Again, and this was the year they went 72-10. We do have to note, however, that their finals opponents weren't slouches. The Supersonics won 64 games that season. Anyway, Seattle's Defensive Player of the Year, Gary Payton, was playing with an injured calf, and as a result, they didn't put him on Jordan until
an injury, okay,
when they already found themselves down 0-3. After they finally decided to put the glove onto his airness, however, they found success as Jordan's production dropped significantly, and as a result, they won 2 straight games. Unfortunately, it was too little, too late. No team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit. The 1997 winner.
So their best on-ball defender didn't fit MJ until it was too late. Oh, okay. Nobody says that though. Nobody says that. Actually, how many was it? You know what? Never mind. We'll get to
were
it.
the Bulls again as they dismantled the Jazz in 6 games. In the last and decisive Game 6, however, when the game was tied with 30 seconds left, Scottie Pippen clearly touched the rim, which should have counted as a goaltend.
Very interesting. So the opposing team is supposed to have an extra 2 points. Okay.
Unfortunately for Utah, the referees didn't make the call, and they eventually lost that game and that series. 1998 was more or less the same, with the Bulls winning against the Jazz again in 6 games. This time, however, it was Jordan. As he found his team down 1 with just mere seconds running on the clock, he decided to take it upon himself to shoot the game winner. To create space to shoot, however, it's clear that his left hand pushed off the defender, but unfortunately for the Jazz, the refs missed the call again, and as a result, Karl Malone and John Stockton remain ringless till this day. 1999 was the beginning.
Okay, we're not going. That's neither here nor there. We talk about Jordan. So y'all saw that, right? Now, you might have gotten mad and saying they just pulling asterisks out of nowhere. But I really only put that there because, you already know they had the 3 and 6 people, the 3.5 and 6, and the 4 and 6 people. Pretty much trying to find any way to discredit Bron. These are people who probably do a backflip off the Twin Towers before I made a LeBron James is at least top 10, let alone top 20. They won't even admit he's top 20. They'll probably put Gary Payton in front of LeBron. It's to the point like that. So that was mainly for them. Since they could find any asterisk for LeBron, watch that video. He found any asterisk. And I also apply my own things to it. So, and to be honest, you can apply an asterisk to anybody or anything because there's 99% chance. Really, I believe it's 100, but let's say 99 to be generous. 99 chance of injury in the NBA or incompetence from refs, rigging / whatever you want to believe. Now, to be honest, I really feel like injury is something you're literally just waiting on to happen. You just have to hope it's not career ending or it'll limit you for the rest of your life. Name one superstar who's played for at least 5 years that hasn't gotten injured. Name one. I really want you to name one. Now, there's another argument. Well, Jordan faced tougher competition with less help. Now, I know I know in the video the dude said the team was no slouch. They had 60 plus wins. Yeah, the team was good. But what's a good team to a super team? There's nothing. And I feel like a lot of those teams had 60 wins because of like the expansion. Because of the expansion. They probably were normally a 50-win team, but those extra couple wins from 59, now it's 60. But then again, I guess in certain situations, yeah, you can round it up or whatever. But that's what I believe. That's what I believe. And you guys have to remember, they added 6 expansion teams throughout Jordan's ring winning years. Remember that. And since you guys like to point out how much help LeBron has had, he's had help from Phil Jackson, the dude that created the triangle, dude that gave MJ all his bread and butter. Without him, would is Jordan probably wouldn't have a ring. Scottie Pippen, right hand man, took the load off his back on everything except scoring. Dennis Rodman, one of the greatest defenders of all time, one of the best rebounders of all time, took the load off his back in the paint. B.J. Armstrong, good role player. Horace Grant, pretty sure he was on the first stint of the three-peat. But after Jordan left, I think he went to the Magic. John Paxson, we know what he's done. He's hit a couple game-winning shot. Bill Cartwright, I think he has all-time leading rebounds on the Bulls. We know who Steve Kerr is. Ron Harper, I'm pretty sure, is a pretty good role player. Tony Kukoc. Was he the best shooter on the team? I don't know, but I know he's a Hall of Famer. George Garver, we know who he is. Iceman. Robert Parrish, I think he came from the Celtics, but I'm pretty sure he's a legend. We know who it is. Artis Gilmore. No, he was the best rebounder in Bulls history. I think Bill Carter was just a good role player. All that help in the 80s and 90s. And he only won 6 championships. With all that fucking help. I'm not gonna lie, man. He cannot possibly be the GOAT. He can't even be top 10. You had all that help. You didn't win. You didn't win 10 championships with all that help. You didn't go to the finals more than 6 times. You had all that help. And you're supposed to be the GOAT. You're not top 10. You're probably not. You top 25. You're 25th. And guys, also get this. Ever since his last repeat, he's been on a team with 4 other Hall of Famers. Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Tony Kukoc, and Steve Kerr. Now, I want you to challenge yourself. Name me one team in his 6-0 run that he played with more than 2 uninjured / healthy Hall of Famers on his team for his competition. Name it down below. I'll be waiting. Please name it down below. And the competition they faced. It's the competition they faced. I think I heard something about LeBron James playing 41 Hall of Famers throughout the entirety of the playoffs. But let's just leave it at that. He's already played, what, is that triple? He's already played triple Hall of Famers he has. But MJ basically has a whole lineup of Hall of Famers. But we don't consider that in the GOAT debate. That's irrelevant. Now, I know I said all those bad things and mean things about Jordan, but I'm gonna give you guys the honest truth. I'm gonna give you all the honest truth. Although I've listed probably 10 reasons by now why he shouldn't be the GOAT, I will admit he is without a doubt the best shooting guard of all time. And that the worst thing you can say about him is he's the second greatest scorer of all time. Wilt is probably number 1. It's arguable between him and Jordan. That's an argument, I'll give you that. But is Michael Jordan a better scorer than LeBron? Yes. Obviously. I would never argue that. Jordan is probably the best roamer on defense all time, too. because he's probably the best stealer in NBA history. He's probably can get the best steals in NBA history, so I'll give him that. On ball, not so much. I'll argue Kobe and LeBron were better than him on ball, but at the same time, of course, with Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman, all three of y'all are top 10 defenders in the league, arguably top 5. If one of y'all double team somebody, it might as well just be a steal. Then also to go along with that, Scottie did everything else for Jordan in the playoffs, so he could do what he does best. Ball hog, shoot 40 times, get 40 points and 40 shots. That's what happened more often than not, whether y'all believe it or not. And if it didn't happen, then wouldn't he be 50 plus field goal percentage? Wouldn't he have made most of his shots if that wasn't what he was doing? He made a lot of shots. He made a lot of important shots. But it has to be over 100 games where he has shot in 40 shots to score 40 points. I would bet that. Maybe 200 or 300 games where he did that. It's pretty bad. But also another thing, people don't talk about this, because Scottie was supposed to go to Seattle. If he went to Seattle with Gary Payton and Sean Kemp, that's a whole nother butterfly effect conversation. In Jordan's best case scenario, he might have got like 1 or 2 rings if he had went to the right team on the end of his career. Or if somehow he got a injury plague throughout one of his playoff runs, his bet would have been like 1 or 2 rings. And if Rodman would have came for the second three-peat, he would have been 3-3. He would have been, if he would have got to the finals again. So the ring argument would not be in Jordan's favor no more. They hop straight to scoring titles in DPOY, even though that that's finicky as well. Because I think who went to the Magic with Shaq in '95? Well, it doesn't matter. It's still the same point. But that's the honest truth about him. I still think he's the best shooting guard ever. But with these factors, his career could be very altered. Really think about that. And here's proof that, Scottie did pretty much everything for Jordan. 200 more rebounds than him. 20 more assists, which means he could have generated, 40 plus more points than he did in the playoffs. Over 30 more steals. And over 20 more blocks. While Jordan scored thousands of more points than him. Not saying Jordan did nothing, but we see who did everything else. You want to know what's funny? I'm pretty sure Scottie was leading first on everything on his team or on both teams. Maybe on his team. Probably on his team for first in rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. And then Jordan was just first in points. Do with the information what you will. Now, with all that being said, I feel like Wilt is the GOAT and there's no argument for it. Now, I know we had this up earlier. Let's go ahead and watch this. Let's just go ahead and watch it.
I'm going to tell you something. As bad as you looked, you didn't miss by that much. You just see me make 2 in a row.
Look at him, shell shock.
No, I had to set boy fast. There you go. I just paid the last 3 of them. I don't care. This is the one I'm talking about for $5. Get it up. Get it up.
God damn. He knew you had to pay it. I want y'all to look at this too. Look.
Try to just dig a little harder. You can sort of like get yourself psyched up somewhat.
Probably. And it wasn't goaltending either. Look. Or was it? I can't tell. I don't think it was goaltending because I think it wasn't falling down.
Puts it up, Chamberlain blocks it. Puts it up, Chamberlain blocks it. The way that Wilt turned on individually at the start of the 4th quarter.
I don't think. Okay, he might have goaltended once, but he didn't do it 2 or 3 times. He might have goaltended maybe like once. I think that's the only person who, Wemby might be able to. But so far, that's the only person in history I've ever seen block Kareem shot. And he's what, top 5, top 3 centers of all time? Now let's look at this.
First, Chamberlain steals the ball in midair. Then, with a combination of expert dribbling and coordinated speed, the stilt moves up court, setting up a give-and-go play that nets his high school teammates another 2 pointers. First,
Never, y'all cannot deny Will's greatness. Y'all can't deny it. Now, do I really think he's the GOAT? She the greatest scorer of all time. I'll tell you that. Probably the greatest scorer of all time. Y'all are lucky. Because the thing is, right? He took a break from the NBA to go play with the Globetrotters. And he also said in one of his interviews, he voluntarily stopped scoring so he could win more. Proving that you need teammates to win. Who was ever the first person to go to the NBA Finals and not pass and win? That's the GOAT. No questions. If you can go to the NBA Finals with pure garbage and win, like if LeBron would have won in 2007 and 2018, I wouldn't even argue with you about it. I wouldn't argue with you because that's almost impossible. So until somebody does that, then when somebody does that, that'll be the GOAT. But there's two things. Wilt said he stopped scoring and started passing more, which means his points per game would have went down. Remember, guys, he averaged 50 points a game for a season. Who else in NBA history did that? Nobody. And remember, he made 54% of his shots for his career. He made Wilt is literally, he's literally in 2K. Like he played like he was in 2K. Like seriously. So he started passing and he took a break from the Globetrotters. If he never would have took that break, and if he would have just kept ball hogging, he probably would have had 40. He probably really would have had 40 points a game. Maybe like 45. I don't think it would have been 50. But it might have said 40 or 45. Or at bare minimum 35. If he would have kept playing like he was. So I really want y'all to know Wilt is more than likely the greatest scorer of all time. Now, aside from what's the best way to say this? I'm gonna show y'all who the greatest of all time is. But it may not be in the way that you think it is, but it doesn't matter. Now, I already said the greatest scorer. I made my case. Now, who do you guys think is next? I'm just gonna show y'all. Second greatest scorer of all time, honorable mention, Michael Jordan. Like I said, I do think he's the best shooting guard of all time. Probably the best. He probably is the best stealer of all time. On ball, not so much. But yeah, I still think he's the best shooting guard of all time. Still, second greatest scorer of all time. Argue with a wall. Greatest passer of all time, Magic Johnson. I guess the other argument would be John Stockton, but they literally had a system to where it was. I don't want to explain it. If you want an in-depth explanation on why John Stockton was overrated, you can go ahead and I think Legend of Winning. Search up Legend of Winning John Stockton overrated, and you will see. I might put the link in the description, but I completely agree with everything you said in that video. Now, honorable mention. I don't know. I guess you could say this may be the only interchangeable one, but at the same time, you cannot. This is the greatest passing big in history. So if it's natural that he would only be better than some guards at passing. So switch that out for whoever you want. I would say this is maybe the only interchangeable one, but I don't think this is a bad honorable mention because I honestly think he passes better than LeBron. So I guess you could have put Jason Kidd here or something. I don't know, but I don't think Jokic is a bad, I don't think that was a bad selection. Greatest defender of all time, Bill Russell. Does he have the most blocks all time? No, he doesn't. But his honorable mention does. He has the most blocks all time. I think he was better at getting steals than Michael Jordan. Oh, you know why he doesn't have the most blocks all time? Because they weren't recorded. Him and Wilt will be 1 and 2 and most blocks all time. I think Kareem will be 3. He would either be 2 or 3. No, he would either be 3 or 4 if it was recorded. So do your research on Bill Russell. Just because they didn't play with 30 teams, that don't mean they were bad. That does not mean that. Now, the greatest rebounder of all time. Surprise, surprise. Wilt again. So that means out of all the categories, I argue that he's probably top 1 and 2 of the categories. Scoring, passing, defending. No. Yeah, out of all the categories, he's top 2 and 1. And his honorable mention, Bill Russell. Like I said, do your research on him. He was no slouch. I don't care how many teams he played with or against. Just because you play with less people, that does not make you bad. But we will never know how good he would have been if he was to be playing the other league. I still think it really don't matter what I think. The things we'll just never know. It's just some things we'll never know. But going based off stats and film, another thing. Let's talk about the eye test. I think that's the most bullshit thing ever created. Because think about it. Isn't eye test just an opinion? Because people they really only use eye test for Jordan. So can't I just say, oh, the eye test for Jokic, I love the way he passes, he's the greatest of all time? The eye test is stupid. I think that's the worst argument ever created. How can you argue what I see with my eyes versus what you see with your eyes? That's stupid. Why does that exist? Now, is Jordan the most aesthetically pleasing scorer of all time? Probably yes, I would agree. But I think that they put him in slow motion and all that shit, doing 360 up and of course he gonna pass the eye test. It's like they're making up a stat so he can be better or something. That's stupid. Because I feel like that's just all opinionated. But with all the slow mo and all that stuff, the up and under, the coming back, switching hands, going to the left, spin around, tongue out, dunk. Duh, he gonna pass the eye test. They set it up for him to do it. So that's just how I feel about the greatest of all time. That's how I feel about it. I know you may not like the answer because it's not exactly individual, but I don't know if you really wanted the answer. Now let me stop playing. But I would say that's about it. And I would say this is very accurate because you have to think about it. I think LeBron is top 40 in rebounds. He's obviously the first in points. What is it? I don't know where you're using blocks. I would assume maybe he might be top 50 in blocks. Probably top 50 in steals too. Maybe top 30, 40. And we know he's top 10 in assists. So find somebody who's better at all 5 than him, because he already has points. He already has the most points all the time. Find somebody who's better at all 5 than him, which you literally can't because he has a scoring record. And you'll find the greatest all around. Now, why do I say he's second? Michael Jordan is not really bad at anything. His worst ability is his 3-point shooting. And the funny thing is they moved the 3-point line around so he could still be able to shoot better, and he still only made it a 3 every other game. But oh well. So, and arguably, I would say Wilt is arguably the greatest all around of all time. Remember, he's probably the best scorer ever and probably the best rebounder ever. So he can make an argument for greatest all around just by being the greatest at two things. Yeah, he holds the points record, but we know Wilt is a better scorer and a better rebounder than him. Both of them combined, if they both going for it and boxed out with Wilt, they'll probably still get it. So this is pretty much my final argument for how I feel. The greatest small forward all the time, greatest shooting guard all the time, greatest center of all time. So this is how I feel about it. If you have an argument, just go ahead and record your reaction to this. Debunk everything I said so I can come back and do it too. This is honestly how I feel. And I'll see y'all sellouts on the next one. Do not cry me a river in the comments and do a Birmingham letter from Martin Luther King paragraph because I'm not gonna read it. Just make a video. I'm not reading that about all the stats and advanced statistics and all that stuff. True shooting percentage. What does that mean? Why is that I don't know. But this is honestly how I feel. Cry me a river, or realize that you know what, he was a little bit better than I thought. Do what you with this information, but I'll see y'all on the next one.